Everyone, and welcome to my Soulful Conversation, Heart to Heart. It's my new Wednesday series of interviews with amazing people doing amazing work in the world. And I'm so excited today to share with you this amazing woman, Reverend Dr. Autymn Renee Allen. She and her husband are great ministers, great people doing awesome work in the world. And one of these days we'll get Michael on here, Michael Scott. But in the meantime, we've got plenty to talk about with you, Autymn Renee, and I'm just so happy you're here. So thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I am really excited to share what I know with everybody.
Yeah, well, you are amazing and do amazing work. And I want to, before I go into reading the formal about you, I just want to share my experience with you that is so powerful. And that is, we've known each other through the Alliance of Divine Love Ministry. Better now, I think, over the past couple of years than we did in the past. I think we knew of each other, but not really know each other. And it's been a real pleasure to get to know you and work with you. And I'm just really taken by your commitment to walking with spirit, walking with God in everything you do, and to take the time to practice what you preach and to really put God first and to bring that into your heart and live from that place. And so it's been inspiring for me to watch, and I've loved working with you on this recent project that we've been doing for the ministry, and it's been really fun. So, but you do, your ministry has a lot of legs to it, and you have actually, I know your Alliance of Divine Life Ministry. That's something you and your husband, Michael Scott, do. But also your coaching ministry is very interesting. And I think that's where you're putting a lot of your attention these days. And it's actually called, you're the CEO and founder of the Alliance of Divine Life Academy. And it's a life coaching system. And so you say you show people how to take life, make life challenge, how to make life challenges necessary to create the life they want for themselves. So to use those challenges, how to make life the way they want it. And I apologize. I just noticed here that my computer only decided to print out half. So that being said, I guess Spirit is just going to let me just go ahead and ad lib this. But I did go onto your website, and you do some amazing things. You're really into this coaching ministry, I guess you would call it. And we talked earlier today, and you had mentioned about your clients are, basically drawn to you. The ones that are more faith-based and living from a spiritual perspective, which is totally understandable because that's who you are and that's why they resonate. But I do want to get into your coaching, but I want to talk to you. The last sentence that you do have in your about yourself is your best is yet to be. And I definitely believe that. I think that every moment we're choosing, making decisions and choices that can either lead us to our best experiences or lead us into maybe a dark place. So what would you like to say about what that comment, your best is yet to be?
Well, I've kind of lived from that perspective most of my life. I mean, I can remember hearing a voice speaking to me when I was 15. That's when it began. And because I was raised in what we now call a dysfunctional family, it was probably normal, but because of the challenges of living with my family members, my parents especially, I kept saying to God, how do we get what we get in life? How did I end up with this? And so that is the question that I've been asking since I was 15 years old.
Well, what's your answer?
I continue to ask it. Why is this happening? Or what, and I do. I get the answers because I hear the voice and I listen to it. And that's probably simply a result of being a very introverted, quiet person, which has helped me to maintain that kind of inner peace all my life. I've always had that kind of centering. And I know some people wrestle with that, especially, clients that I've had have done that. But my Life to the Fourth Power coaching program is a direct outgrowth of guidance through my own spiritual path. And it moved me in places, and moved me to become the person I am today. And it does every day.
Yeah, exactly. Just peeling away those layers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that you and your husband, Michael, are great students of A Course in Miracles. And how long has that been is that your primary path? How long have you been on that? And what other theologies or spiritual programs do you follow?
Well, the Course in Miracles, there's an interesting story to that. I had never heard of the Unity Church of Dallas before. And I had what I would call a spiritual experience. And I woke up the next morning and I just said, we're going to go to the church. And so I went there. Long story short, it was shortly after, it was like 1981. And it was during the time that A Course in Miracles had been published originally anonymously, and everybody is curious to know, who wrote this and so on and so forth. So that's way back there. I went through those materials. It was in 3 books in 6 weeks.
Whoa.
I was clearly guided. Now, obviously, I didn't read everything. And then I pretty much never went back to it. I started, reading so many other materials, attending so many seminars. I've been so many places it would make your head spin. But I just knew I listened for what the next step was for me. And then you are the pivotal reason that we came back to it, because we went to the Alliance of Divine Love conference that was in Phoenix. And I had been struggling and asking for something that I could use to help my husband move along in his journey. And you mentioned it in one of your talks. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's it.
Oh.
Because now, as I've gone through it the last 2 or 3 years again, I'm in it at a much, much deeper level. It is so powerful. The information is so powerful there. But one of the things I've noticed about it is you have to keep in mind that the woman who is receiving this channeling and receiving this information was a self-professed militant atheist or something. I'm not sure what. So you have to keep that in mind. Jesus is having to talk to and talk through someone who really was not all that excited, I suspect, I don't know, to be sharing this information. I even wonder if she had enormous doubts about the information she was delivering.
I had actually heard someone address that, and they said, someone had said, based on what you just said about her being a confirmed agnostic, atheist, non-believer, even though she'd been a seeker all her life, and they asked her if it had shifted her at all, and she said, not really, something to this effect, but she knows there's some power there, and she knows that there was truth there. So I think it's, who was it, Les Brown, that says, I don't want to mess this quote up. God doesn't choose the qualified, he qualifies the chosen.
Yes.
And it's sort of, so it's not necessarily those you would suspect that spirit would come through to give the message, but she was determined, and thanks to her friend Bill, he said, just take notes. And for 7 years, she did it. And God bless her for that. It was
no kidding. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's been that. I would say that A Course in Miracles, even when I went through it in 6 weeks, that was unknown to me. Okay. Unknown to me. That was the way I was guided through the rest of the time frame between those two events for myself.
Right. So, well, what was did you have a prior religious background or spiritual background?
No, I would say that my parents, both of my parents were believers, but they didn't take us to church. I started walking 2 miles to the closest church when I was 16. Wow. And I was baptized in a church. And then later, when I was an adult, I was divorced. I was a single mother, and I was guided to go to a Baptist church. And I was literally guided to go forward and be baptized again. Wow. And I'm not sure what that was about, but I do what I'm guided to do with now without question. I used to, I mean, actually marrying my husband was a 3-year process because anyone who knew me knew that there was no way I was going to get married again. No way. And it took Spirit 3 years to get me to agree. And then to have it be my husband. Okay, we had been friends for years, never looked at each other like marriage material. Uh-huh. No, we were just friends. Yeah. But it was time. It was time because, and I really believe now, I would not have grown into the depths of recognizing and understanding how important this concept of oneness is. Mm-hmm. Because I had been living my life, most of my life up to that point in time, I had lived alone, even though I had been married and I had a son. I had been married 9 years, but I'm like in my 30s, so I pretty much been alone. But that is one of the ways in which we learn how to recognize the oneness that we really are in an environment of. Right. When that whole thing of oneness is difficult. It's difficult because we see on the news people, acting out in ways that we find questionable, shall I say? Mm-hmm. And that's not us. That's, we're not like that at all. And yet, A Course in Miracles tells us, yes, we're all one. Yeah. That
well, it's so true. I mean, it's the Course in Miracles. I just light up with it because it definitely speaks to my heart. And really, when you say that you were baptized twice, I can feel comfortable in any church environment. I, honor all paths, traditions, religions, beliefs, and I'm very curious. And I find I do find that we're all in unity there too, if we choose to be. Yes. And, it's just how we choose. I always look to Jesus as my master teacher and guide and way shower. And what did he come here to teach? And he was, well, as the Course says, our elder brother, our teacher, our friend, and taught us how to live in the greatest degree of love, which is our common mantra in the Alliance of Divine Love Ministry. And so so how do you, one thing I know that you and Michael do and commit to, which I find very inspiring, and I aspire to that myself to the best of my ability, is to, what's the Course teach us? To really tune in to the voice of God with everything we do. So.
Absolutely. And that probably is the most difficult thing for us, because as the Course in Miracles describes it in a way that is almost, or could be, understood as conflicting, because and I think that probably is part of this picture that I have, that possibly the woman that channeled this information was, her mind was looking at life and experience in terms of the dualistic perspective instead of the oneness perspective.
Right.
But where he talks about the ego versus the Holy Spirit, which voice are you going to listen to? And I really have realized in the last 30 years of my life, what a blessing that I came through the family I did. The neglect was actually a huge blessing because I was able to listen to the voice. So
Right.
I've kind of always been there, and I know it's a struggle. It's a struggle to ignore the ego voice so that you can hear God's voice.
Right.
And the Course in Miracles is a wonderful manual for teaching us how to do that.
Exactly. Well, you mentioned the scribe, or the woman who received the book, Helen Schuckman. She was a psychologist. And so she came from that perspective. And the course has been described as being spiritual psychotherapy, is really what it is. Healing our mind. Okay. So, and the way we do that is moment by moment, we're either aligning our thoughts with the Holy Spirit, God, love, unity, oneness, or the ego. And so I find that the course has given me a more deeper understanding of maybe what the other religions call the devil, or the dark side, or the evil one. And really the ego, if you look at the acronym of the ego, edging God out. Okay. So then we've got what does the devil or Satan want to do? Keep us away from God, edge God out. So that ego is that voice that continues to play our old patterns and fears over and over. So we have to train ourselves to live from our heart and to tune into the voice of God. So moving a little bit more forward with this, I think that we can agree, and most people we do talk to on a regular basis, I don't remember in my life seeing more challenging times in every arena. So I know you're a coach, you work with people, and just, we're here to serve and to help people. What do you think this is all about? Do you have a perspective on what this is about, and how people can navigate through the storm in a greater degree of peace and power?
I just had some information come to me this week about that very thing. And I don't, how information can come through to you and your conscious mind can't grab onto it. I don't know that I've grabbed onto all of it yet. But, I've heard other people, traditional religious groups talk about this being the greatest altar call of God. And in some ways, I think it is. It is, do you see how you have sabotaged yourselves big time? And there are other ways. But from a dualistic, we're in a dualistic environment. And so from that perspective, the pendulum is always going to swing. It's always going to swing, from the positive to the negative. From the yin yang perspective, it's everything is going in a cycle. And, that's the soup that we are swimming in, that we're living in. And so it's all okay. It's hopefully it is just part of the experience in this dimension. And, our job is to stay centered and not let this external stuff carry us away. I mean, you mentioned, the ego. The one thing that I love about A Course in Miracles is it talks about the ego is just a belief. And who creates our beliefs? We do.
Right. And
so to believe that, Satan's got control or whatever is maybe that's the way for us to really to stay above the drama, because to me, it's just all drama. And I
Yeah.
don't really need a whole lot of drama,
Yeah.
to stay centered and not allow the external drama to impact us. It can be tough. It can be very, very tough.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when we I have my episodes where I like throw a fit, and then I grab control again and center myself and just say to myself, it doesn't matter, because it just doesn't matter.
Right.
I use that one just moment by moment for years to help me stay centered. And so,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, it's staying centered, listening for the voice of God to tell you what is yours to do,
Mm-hmm.
not allowing other people to tell you what's yours to do, because what's yours to do is different than what's mine to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody around you is on their own path of learning
Mm-hmm.
how to optimize their humanity in the best way possible. And we're doing that not just moment by moment, but day to day, and so
Mm-hmm.
on and so forth. And that's one of the reasons I think I was gifted, literally gifted, with this life to the fourth power coaching process. I
Mm-hmm.
listen, I was the biggest skeptic. It was like, okay, all right, which voice am I really listening to? Because I came across some teaching that that had me recognize that. And I'm questioning as I'm going along. But it came out. I mean, I had been looking for years. I'd been investigating um, neurolinguistic programming, something called One Brain, um, so many other things. And I had a phone call with a woman who did this process. It was an energy process over the phone, and I felt the shift. And I'm like, that's it. And I've got a full-time job. I'm working with a publishing company. I'm traveling all over the country. And every weekend, I'm going to take these classes because I knew that was it. And I'm about ready to get certified in this one process. And actually, the founder of the process was teaching an extra bonus class or something. So I signed up to do that. And if I, I'm like, if I had taken her class first, I would have dropped it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm a teacher by trade. And, I'm very conscious of learning styles. And she was just too random for me. And so, but the very first class that I was guided to take, and I had to scrape the money together to go to this class. I'm walking in. This is the first basic class. I'm walking in, and this voice says to me, "You will never be using this the way they're using it."
Hmm.
And I'm like, I just scraped together the last $300 that I have. And you're telling me why? And so I say, why am I here? And they said, because we're going to teach you, you're going to be using this with money. And because that was my biggest issue at the time. And
Mhm.
that's how it started. And now what I know about that is there's really only two things that we're after in life, and that is health and wealth. And wealth is actually part of our health.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so that's all I'm offering anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, it's powerful. And so you took this and so tell us a little bit about what is this process? What's this program
well,
you've created?
I had, the first place that I went was studying quantum physics. Just the whole idea of what was back then, it's not the catch phrase now, but was called holodynamics. And if you're familiar with a um, like a hologram. The word wouldn't come to me. The hologram.
Yeah,
If you're
hologram.
familiar with the hologram, you know that it's just an image. It's that whole idea. But quantum physics is about 50 years old now, and they keep discovering more and more things. Well, I can remember back in the day where they were telling us that you're only born with so many brain cells. And if you're frying the brain cells with the alcohol or whatever, you're gonna move into dementia sooner or something. I don't know what they were saying. And then in the medical, research, they discovered that that's not true. We're generating brain cells all the time. And so I got into that neuroplasticity of the brain. I was studying that. So that's kind of, I came from a scientific perspective, because you see, if it doesn't work for me, it doesn't work. And that's, I mean, there is no way I am going to share with somebody something that doesn't work. And so that's how I got into this whole concept of energy therapy. And at the time, nobody was, they were working simply with mental beliefs, which a lot of people are still doing with mindset, which is important. The emotional trauma component. But again, looking at it from the perspective that those are just energies that can be shifted. But what I was guided to do was to add the spiritual perspective. Now, people don't go there because they consider it too woo-woo. Well, it's not. If you have a relationship with God, you're in that energy right now. Right now, all the time. And the truth is, I believe that God energy is around us, in us, and through us, everything in our dimension. And so it's here. It's just that we're not recognizing it.
Right.
People talk about these serendipitous events, these coincidences, these miracles, as a Course in Miracles talks about. And yet they're actually, I mean, even Jesus's miracles, they're really a shift in energies because you've shifted your perspective of them, your perception of what's possible for you, for yourself.
Right.
And I came across a book, and this book, I'm going to mention it because I'm telling you, this is powerful. If you're interested in manifestation, this is a book. The first time I bought the book, what had to be 30 years ago, maybe longer ago than that. It's called Everyday Miracles, The Inner Art of Manifestation. This guy nailed it. Now, wow. he uses different language than I use. And he doesn't talk about it as directly as I do. I'm a Sagittarian, and we just have to say it the way it is. And but he really was in tune with this whole concept of, we're just living in a sea of energies, and it's our mind, our intelligence, that is moving this energy into the form that we experience in our lives.
Right.
I mean, that is powerful. Once you know that you're the one who's creating the life you're experiencing.
Exactly.
And you figure out there are some things you don't like, and you can change them. You have the power to change them. Oh my gosh, everything changes.
And ultimately, I mean, my experience, because I too am a life coach, but I use these law of attraction tools and a lot of these tools, to get what I think I wanted. And now I think it's a deeper awareness that really what we want all along is connection to God and each other and peace and help. And so it's, for me, it's surrender. So I'm using all these tools. So Holy Spirit, guide me, lead me, and direct me every step of the way. And then these things present themselves, like your coaching, what I need to get me there. So we use the means available, but we're doing it from guidance. And so, and I like that you bring that aspect into it, because it is really, and I know Michael Scott, he does that as well. And in his practice and being a doctor, one of these days we'll get him on here and talk to him about how he uses these principles there. But so if someone was to join in your program, what does that look like? What is the process?
Well, I'm actually offering a free program right now. It's going to start August 1st for 5 days. It's free. It's to give people a taste of what's possible. I want them to have an experience so that they know this stuff really works for them. I mean, everybody's got what I'm calling a manifestation process. You have your own method for creating what you want to have in life. Some of it works, some of it doesn't work. There's a way to optimize your process. And so that's what I'm going to be showing you. I call it bridging the gap from where you are now to where you want to be. And the primary focus of this is to give you what I call my do-it-yourself life to the fourth power coaching process, so that you can use it, because I guide you through how to connect with spiritual energies, mental energies, emotional energies, and physical energies, and then how to integrate those, because the key factor is the integration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can deal with them independently, but if they're out of alignment, then you're still not going to be able to, well, let me say, you will be able to manifest it, but it may not show up the way you really want to have it. You've got to surrender to that spiritual voice that's telling you, this is what's really next for you. Right. And sometimes you don't like it. Like I didn't like it when they said, what's next for you is you need to be married to a man. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so I spent 3 years saying, I don't want to do that. Now, I will get the word that I need to do something and I don't want to do it. I go, I don't want to do it, but I will.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I've had enough experience to know that what I'm being shown is that that's the next step to get me to where I really want to be.
Right.
What's in my heart of hearts. And I've taught this thing I started teaching what I called dancing with money. And I had 2 groups. There were 2 small groups, and we met in person. And this was my experiment to see how this stuff really worked that I'd been giving, because it worked for me, but I wanted to see how it worked for other people. It was amazing. If there was anything to prove to me at that time that we are one, this was it. Mm-hmm. Group 1, we would go through and shift energies on Monday night. Wednesday night, the group on Wednesday night were already on the frequencies.
Wow.
And then we would do shift energies on Wednesday, and then the Monday night group had already integrated those. It was fascinating to me to watch it.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll
get your attention.
Yeah.
Well, how did you come up with this name, by the way, the 4th degree? What is that? Is that what it is?
I was given this name for the coaching. It stands for Life Integration for Enlightenment, which is spiritual, mm-hmm. Equanimity, which is mental, empowerment, and enjoyment. It's all the things that we want. And it's a spiritual energy, a mental energy, emotional energy, and a physical energy. And so, and that's kind of what I've, those are the things I've been looking for and created for myself. So I want to do that for others.
Wow. Well, tell me, okay, so I got the info this morning, the invite, which I choose to accept, and tell us
Great.
about it. Tell the listeners what the 5 days entails and what they can expect.
Okay. Well, the 5 days, the first day, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about the premise of energy medicine, quantum physics, neuroplasticity, the steps of the Life for Coaching program. Now, the full Life for Coaching process is actually 7 steps. When I do one-on-one coaching, I take them through all 7 steps. For this experiment that we're in, I'm going to have you do a couple of those things before you come to the Zoom call. It'll be a live Zoom call. It'll be recorded. And so the first day, the first 4 days, I'll actually be doing a Life for Coaching session with you. And so we'll have content, and then we'll have the actual exercise, and then you will have homework for reinforcement, because what's happening here is you are becoming the energy frequency of the goal that you are choosing. So you will be actually doing 2 things. You will have your own goal, wealth goal. We're focused on wealth in this one. Whatever that means to you, you'll be working with your wealth goal. The sessions that I do with you, we will be working with group general wealth goals, because I want to get that underpinning solid for you. And then you'll have some homework reinforcement activities to do morning and evening for each of the 5 days. And we'll just be talking about various aspects of what manifestation really is, what the universe looks like, my picture of the universe, I'll say that, and, kind of go from there. And on the 5th day, I will talk about 2 offers that I have for a Dancing with Wealth workshop, intensive. It's actually an intensive, or a membership. What I would ask in exchange is you're going to be sending me daily just kind of a quick report of, what your experience was for the day. And then at the end of the 5 days, I'll ask you to give me a testimonial about your experience of the program. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, 5 consecutive days, August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Right.
And it's 2 hours each morning, correct?
It's 2 hours. It's usually it takes 90 minutes to do one of these Life for Coaching sessions. Because I'm doing an abbreviated version and having you do some other things, I think that we'll be able to do it in 90 minutes. But I'm putting in there your time commitment's about 2 hours, because you're going to have to do an email to me and your reinforcement stuff, which won't be but a few minutes.
Okay, so if someone's interested, how do they get a hold of you?
You can send an email to me at lifeforbridgingthegap@gmail.com.
And is that a 4 or FOR?
The number 4.
Life
number 4, bridgingthegap@gmail.com. And
what are your websites?
My websites are my ministry is www.allianceofdivinelife.com, and the coaching website is www.divinelifeacademy.com.
Okay, I tell you, it's hard to keep all this straight.
I know. I've got more websites than those, and it's
Yeah, I know. Well, well, I tell you, as we wind down here, this has been wonderful and great information. I know that it's people have been able to listen in either on YouTube or my website or Facebook page, but we'll get this out to even more after it's over here and recorded. But do you have any closing comments, thoughts you'd like to share before we say goodbye?
listen for the voice of God. That is the thing that will change your life forever. And if you will just put yourself in a position to hear that voice regularly and stay centered, even when you're with other people, you can hear the voice. I just can't emphasize that enough. It's important.
And that would technically or really just solve all our perceived problems right there.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, well, Autumn Renee, it's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your beautiful message and your spirit, and look forward to joining your group in a couple of weeks. And remember, everybody, you all are invited to join as well. And until next week, look forward to having a great week with everybody. Many blessings and namaste.
Same to you. Thank you so much.